Hello and welcome to Anmol Mehta Super 20 IA. So guys, this is lecture number 3 for geography for our Himachal Mahabhandara course. तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं आज के लेक्चर से। आज हम पढ़ने वाले हैं डिफरेंट geographical landforms। तो अगर आपने देखा होगा जो surface of earth है that is very uneven, जो कई parts हैं earth के that are rugged and some are flat. The earth has an immeasurable variety of landforms. These landforms of the earth are result of the two processes. ये हमने पिछले लेक्चर में पढ़े थे. One is internal process and the other is external process. The internal process leads to the upliftment and sinking of earth's surface. An external process, it is the continuous wearing down and rebuilding of the surface and includes two processes, namely erosion and deposition. So erosion है, it is the wearing away of earth's surface, and deposition, it is the rebuilding of lower surface. So erosion and deposition processes are carried out by running water, ice, wind, and many other things. Landforms can be grouped based on the elevation and slope, and they are mountain, plateaus, and plains. So there are 5 major landforms on the earth. The first one is fluvial landforms or landforms made by the water channel. Next is aeolian landforms or landforms made by winds. The third is glacial landforms, fourth is wave landforms, and fifth is karst landforms. So we are going to start with the first one. So fluvial landforms or landforms made by the water channel. तो इसमें सबसे पहले हैं erosive landforms. तो V-shaped valley, as you can see in the picture. So in the youth stage, the flow of water in the stream is too fast. तो इसकी वजह से क्या होता है? The vertical erosion at the center is much faster than the lateral erosion. तो बीच में जो erosion हो रहा है in the center, वो काफी तेज है. So this causes river streams to carve a V-shaped valley in the mountains. The next is potholes. So potholes are more or less circular depressions over rocky beds or hilly streams. The pebbles collected in the small and shallow depressions rotates due to the flowing water, causing growth of depressions to form potholes. As you can see in the pictures, how potholes are formed. The next are plunge pools. So plunge pools are nothing but large, deep potholes commonly found at the foot of a waterfall. They are formed because of the sheer impact of water and rotation of boulders. The plunge pools are responsible for formation of waterfalls. Waterfalls often form in the upper stages of a river where it flows over different parts of the rock. तो ये क्या करता है? It erodes the soft rock more quickly than the hard rock, and this may lead to the creation of a waterfall. तो formation of waterfall के different stages क्या होते हैं? The first one is जो soft rock है वो जल्दी erode हो जाता है, and जो hard rock है it stays the same. The hard rock is left overhanging. It eventually collapses due to the absence of any support. Next क्या होता है? The fallen rocks crash into the plunge pool. They swirl around causing more erosion. तो over time ये जो process है ये बार-बार repeat होता है and the waterfall moves upstream. A steep sided gorge is formed as the waterfall retreats. You can see the picture, the formation of waterfall. Next we are going to study about is rapid. So what is a rapid? When a river runs over alternating layers of hard and soft rock, creating unequal resistance, rapids and waterfalls may form. So the next one is river water capturing. ये कब होती है? जब the origin of lower stream shifts upward due to headward erosion and touches the side of a stream flowing in the higher valley. As the water flowing in the higher valley gets along another valley to flow with a steeper slope, it shifts its path and starts flowing in the new valley. This phenomena is called river water capturing. तो इसके लिए क्या-क्या preconditions होती हैं? That there should be a difference in height of two streams. The lower stream should be on the windward side so that it can receive ample rainfall or headward erosion. And the third is the slope of the lower stream should be steeper. तो कहते हैं कि जो यमुना रिवर है, it captured the water of Saraswati river. Saraswati is the modern times is left as a seasonal stream called Ghaggar, which flows from Haryana to Rajasthan. Next is meanders. Meanders is a name given to snake-like zigzag shape made by a river channel in a plain area. This occurs due to erosion on one bank and deposition on another one. On the convex side, the water flow is faster, causing erosion. This side is called the cliff bank. And on the concave side, as the water is slow, sand deposition is there. This is called the point bar. So those were the erosive landforms. Now we are going to study about depositional landforms. The first one is Oxbow Lake. Oxbow Lake is a very common phenomenon if you have heard about it. It is formed due to the deposition of sand on the concave side of the meander. The steepness of the curve increases and the meander gets detached from the river channel. The stagnant water of the meander forms an oxbow lake. So if you can see in the picture, जो oxbow lake है, it's a part that is cut off from the main river due to the deposition of sand on the concave side of the meander. The next is floodplain. Floodplain is an area on both sides of the river bank to the extent where flood water reaches. It's very clear with the name. So flood water hai, it renews the deposits in the floodplains and replenishes the nutrients, making them fertile. As long as the water remains on the floodplain, it is called wetland. The next are karevas. Karevas are lacustrine deposits that are deposits in a lake in the valley of Kashmir and in Bhadrawaha valley of Jammu division. It is an intermountain valley fill comprising of unconsolidated gravel and mud. A succession of plateaus is present above the plains of Jhelum and its tributaries. These plateau-like terraces are called karevas or wudr in the local language. The next is Braided Channel and riverine island. So riverine island क्या होते हैं? That are formed in the old stage of the river when sediments they get deposited in the river channel itself. तो ये जो deposits होते हैं of the sand, ये divide करते हैं the channel into multiple parallel streams looking like a hair braid. This channel is called the braided channel. The next is natural levees. This is the uplifted part on the both sides of the bank. This is formed due to the deposition of sand on the edges. It creates a natural barrier between the river channel and the floodplain. Next is delta. So delta क्या है? It is the final depositional formation of a river before it meets the ocean. The deposits carried by the river are deposited at the mouth of a river, forming a large alluvial fan. It is called a delta. So deltas are of three types based on the shape. So first is Arcuate Delta. This is the most common type of delta and ये form होता है when the deposits of the river have a higher density than the ocean water. This makes deposits heavier and they get deposited at the mouth, forming an outward arc. तो इसके best examples कौन-कौन से हैं? Sundarbans and Nile Delta. The next is Crispate Delta. It is formed along the edge of the bank at the mouth of a river. It is formed when the density of sediments is equal to that of ocean water. And इसका example है delta that is made by river Tiber that is in Italy. The third one is bird foot delta. तो ये क्या है? It is a branch delta and is formed when the density of deposits is less than the density of ocean water. तो क्या होता है? The particles जो है they are carried away inside the ocean to long distance before they settle down. तो इसका best example क्या है? The delta that is made by Mississippi River. So आपके लिए question है. So consider the following features in a drainage system. The first is interlocking spurs, second is oxbow lakes, third is river cliffs, and fourth is rapids and waterfalls. So which of the above will be found in the middle course of the river system? तो ऑप्शंस देख के करेक्ट ऑप्शन प्लीज कमेंट बॉक्स में रिप्लाई करें. The next landform we are going to talk about is alien landforms or landforms made by winds. तो सबसे पहले erosional landforms. The first one is blowout. तो इससे क्या होता है, जो winds हैं they blow the top soil in desert areas and form a depression. Second is mushroom rock, if you can see in the picture. So probably the most famous erosional aeolian landform. The wind erodes a large rock from the water and carves a mushroom-like shape in it. The third is yardang. When the wind is blowing on one side of the rock, it gets eroded from one side and carves a table-like structure. And the fourth one is decanter. It is formed the same way mushrooms are formed, but it looks like an inverted cone attached to the ground with a very small neck. The next one is democells. They are pillars formed due to differential erosion. If resistive rocks are on the surface, erosion occurs on the sides rather than the top, and the lower rock, soft rock that is eroded. And the last one is Yugan. It is a beautiful ridge carved by the action of wind, moisture, and frost. The next are depositional landforms. The first one is sand dunes. So sand dunes, so everyone know what are sand dunes. They are formed in the sandy desert. So sand dunes क्या होते हैं? They are mounds of sand that are formed as wind deposits sand brought from the rocky deserts. Largest of the sand dunes are called barkans. They are formed in the direction of the flow of the wind, and largest barkans are found in the desert of Saudi Arabia. The next is seeps. Seeps are also sand dunes, but ये smaller होते हैं size में. They are found in the regions where sand is less, and they are formed in a group. That is, multiple seeps are found together. The next one is Nefka. They are sandy deserts by the side of a mountain range. The mountain range breaks the momentum of air, and a decrease in speed allows the particles to settle down. And the last one is loess. Loess is fine deposits taken to thousands of kilometers from their region of origin. Fine loess of plain of Normandy is formed by the particle deposited from Sahara. So इसका example क्या है? Manchuria plain, which gets its sediments from Mongolia. The next are glacial landforms. So first one is erosional. So Ariti or Ariti, whatever you can say, it is also known as the biscuit tray topography. If you have been to the Himalayas, you must have seen that mountains are pyramidal in shape with sharp edge. These sharp edges are called Ariti. The next is cirque. Between the edges, the face of the mountains look like someone has scooped the material out of it. This depression is called a cirque. Next is horn. The sharp spear-looking top of a mountain is called a horn. And U-shaped valley. The formation of U-shaped valley is similar to that of a V-shaped valley. V-shaped valley हमने सबसे starting में पढ़ा था. But unlike V-shaped valley, where the flow of water is significantly faster in the center, in the case of a glacier, the speed of snow is relatively a bit faster than the outer snow. Also, the mass of snow is high. Because of this, a U-shaped valley is formed. The next is hanging valley. So when a glacier fills a former river valley, it is at a much higher level, and therefore any tributary glaciers will join the main glacier also at a higher level. So once the glacier has eroded, वो क्या करता है? It leaves the tributary valley hanging at the side of the main valley. So if a stream enters the hanging valley, it plunges over the edge like a waterfall. The next is deep jaw. That is steep-sided, narrow entrance-like feature at the coast where the stream meets the coast. It's very common in Norway, Greenland, and New Zealand. So these are the erosional landforms. If you can see in the picture, the hanging valley, Ariti, Horn, Tarn, Cirques, Glacial Trough, and Paternoster Lakes. Let's move on. These were the erosional. Now we are going to study about depositional landforms. The first one is outwash plain. So it is formed by the melting of a glacier. तो water stream is formed leaving debris behind, तो उससे outwash plain बन जाता है. So Escarres is a long narrow bridge composed of stratified sediment and marking the former location of a glacial tunnel. Next is drumlin. It is a collection of round boulders in the outwash plain. A collection of such boulders look like an inverted basket. This is also called egg basket topography. Next is kettle holes. So they are formed by plucking of boulders and rocks from the outwash plain and creating a depression. Next is cave. They are broken ridges or unassorted depositions forming a mound. The next is moraine. They are most famous deposits. The pieces of gravel and boulders get accumulated along the edge of the glacier as well as the mouth. These deposits are called lateral moraine and terminal moraine respectively. So अगर आपको नहीं समझ आ रहा तो you can see in the picture what are the depositional landforms. So easy way to remember glacial erosional landforms and glacial depositional landforms. So major erosional landforms कौन से हैं and major depositional landforms you can see here. Major erosional है cirque, horns and serrated ridges and glacial valleys or troughs. And major depositionals है esker, outwash plains and drumlins. So as you can see in the picture, there are glacier, there's lake, the lateral moraines and the terminal moraine complex. Next we are going to study about is wave landforms, and the first one are erosional landforms. So what is a nosh? A nosh is formed by the direct impact of the primary waves. Primary waves are those which move perpendicular to the coast. Due to the impact and abrasion, a cavity is formed on the wall, which is called a nosh. So primary waves are responsible for erosional landforms and secondary waves are responsible for deposition. Cave. It is formed when a nosh enlarges to form a cave. Stack. As the erosion continues, the roof of the cave becomes thinner and finally falls down. The walls of the cave remain intact, forming pillars. They are called stacks. Finally, these stacks wither away, leaving stumps. Cove. A cove is a small type of bay or coastal inlet. Coves usually have narrow, restricted entrances or are often circular or oval and are often situated within a large bay. So for the reference, see the picture. Next are depositional landforms. So what is a beach? You know what is a beach. Beach is the most famous depositional landform of waves. So depending upon the size of the sediments, beaches can be boulder beaches, shingle beach or sand beach. Sandbar. It is the deposition of sand extending into the sea. On the basis of formation, it can be parallel sandbar or perpendicular sandbar. If a perpendicular sandbar is attached to the continent from one end, it is called a spit. Hook. If an ocean current is moving along the coast where the spit has formed, the spit gets curved in the direction of current. This curved spit is called a hook. Sometimes there are several branches coming out of spit curving in the same direction. It is called a compound hook. Loop. When hook gets too curved, it touches the coast from one end and forms a complete loop forming a lake. The lake is called lagoon and the sandbar enclosing is called a loop. Tombolo. If a sandbar connects a continent with an island forming a natural bridge, it is called a tombolo. The next are karst landforms. So karst is a topography formed from the dissolution of soluble rocks such as limestone, dolomite and gypsum. It is characterized by underground drainage systems with sinkholes and caves. It has also been documented for more weathering resistant rocks such as quartzite given the right conditions. Subterranean drainage may limit surface water with few to no rivers or lakes. However, in regions where the dissolved bedrock is covered or confined by one or more superimposed non-soluble rock strata, distinctive karst features may occur only at subsurface levels and be totally missing above the ground. So for the reference, please see the picture. They are showing what is a karst window, a sinkhole, a karst valley, sinkhole pond, and many other things. So what are the preconditions for the formation of a karst landform? तो rainfall क्या है वो optimum होनी चाहिए. Rainfall should be moderate. That is, it shouldn't be high. Otherwise क्या होगा? ये dissolve कर देगी entire rock structure को without forming desired topography. और अगर बहुत कम हुई तो water won't be able to dissolve the rock at all. The thickness and the area of limestone rock bed should be large enough for carving. The rock should be jointed and density of joints should be high so that water can penetrate through cracks, systematically eroding the rock bed. Rocks should not be porous, otherwise water will penetrate through the body of the rock and dissolve the whole rock rather than the surface erosion. So surface landforms, different depressions are formed on the surface by seeping of water. The first one is sinkhole. It is a small deep depression formed on the surface. Sinkhole kya hai? It is a depression in the ground that has no natural external surface drainage. Basically, this means कि जब rain आती है, all of the water that stays inside the sinkhole and typically drains into the subsurface. Sinkholes are the most common in karst terrain. The next is sinking creeks or bogs. In a valley, the water often gets lost through cracks and fissures in the bed. These are called sinking creeks, and if the tops are open, they are called bogs. Doline. Few sinkholes combine to form a larger depression called doline. Sometimes clay gets settled on the bottom of a doline, stopping water to seep through it. When water gets accumulated in the doline, it's known as a doline lake. Uvala. Several dolines combine to form an uvala. And polje. When an underground cave collapsed over the surface, a large depression is formed. It is called polje. Subsurface landforms, stalactites and stalagmites. So these are elongated forms of various minerals deposited from solution by slowly dripping water. A stalactite hangs like an isle from the ceiling or sides of a cavern. A stalagmite appears like an inverted stalactite rising from the floor of a cavern. Column. When stalactite and stalagmite meet, they form a complete pillar in the underground cave. It is called a column. Cavern. It is an underground cave formed by water action by various methods in a limestone or a chalk area. Karst window. When a number of adjoining sinkholes collapse, they form an open broad area called a karst window. So which of the following landforms are formed by the erosional action of glaciers? You have to answer this question. So I hope you guys like the video. If you have any doubts, please comment down, share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you so much for watching and happy learning.